found him collecting pieces of wood, brought him up to Moses and Aaron and the whole assembly. So they committed him into custody, because it had not been distinctly stated what should be done to him. In time Jehovah said to Moses, "Without fail the man should be put to death, the whole assembly pelting him with stones outside the camp." Accordingly, the whole assembly brought him forth outside the camp and pelted him with stones so that he died, just as Jehovah had commanded Moses. And Jehovah went on to say this to Moses, "Speak to the sons of Israel, and you must say to them that they must make for themselves fringed edges upon the skirts of their garments throughout their generations. And they must put a blue string above the fringed edge of the skirt. And it must serve as a fringed edge for you, and you must see it, and remember all the commandments of Jehovah and do them. And you must not go about following your hearts and your eyes, which you are following in immoral intercourse. The purpose is that you may remember and may certainly do all my commandments and indeed prove to be holy to your God. I am Jehovah your God, who have brought you out of the land of Egypt in order to prove myself your God. I am Jehovah your God." Chapter 16. And Korah, the son of Izhar, the son of Kohath, the son of Levi, proceeded to get up, together with Dathan and Abiram, the sons of Eliab, and On, the son of Peleth, the sons of Reuben. And they proceeded to rise up before Moses, they and 250 men of the sons of Israel, chieftains of the assembly, summoned ones of the meeting, men of fame. So they congregated themselves against Moses and Aaron and said to them, "That is enough of you, because the whole assembly are all of them holy, and Jehovah is in their midst. Why then should you lift yourselves up above the congregation of Jehovah?" When Moses got to hear it, he at once fell upon his face. Then he spoke to Korah and to his entire assembly, saying, "In the morning Jehovah will make known who belongs to him, and who is holy, and who must come near to him, and whoever he may choose will come near to him. Do this, take fire holders for yourselves, Korah and his entire assembly, and put fire in them, and place incense upon them before Jehovah tomorrow. And it must occur that the man whom Jehovah will choose, he is the Holy One. That is enough of you, you sons of Levi." And Moses went on to say to Korah, "Listen, please, you sons of Levi. Is it such a little thing for you men that the God of Israel has separated you men from the assembly of Israel to present you to himself, to carry on the service of Jehovah's tabernacle, and to stand before the assembly to minister to them, and that he should bring you and all your brothers, the sons of Levi, with you near? So must you men also try to secure the priesthood. For that reason you and all your assembly who are gathering together are against Jehovah. As for Aaron, what is he that you men should murmur against him?" Later Moses sent to call Dathan and Abiram, the sons of Eliab, but they said, "We are not going to come up. Is it so little a thing that you have brought us up out of a land flowing with milk and honey to put us to death in the wilderness, that you should also try to play the prince over us to the limit? As it is, you have not brought us into any land flowing with milk and honey, that you may give us an inheritance of field and vineyard. Is it the eyes of those men that you want to bore out? We are not going to come up." At this Moses became very angry and said to Jehovah, "Do not turn to look at their grain offering. Not one male ass have I taken away from them, nor have I harmed one of them." Then Moses said to Korah, "You and all your assembly, be present before Jehovah, you and they and Aaron, tomorrow. And take each one his fire holder, and you men must put incense upon them, and present each one his fire holder before Jehovah, 250 fire holders, and you and Aaron each his fire holder. So they took each one his fire holder, and put fire upon them, and placed incense upon them, and stood at the entrance of the tent of meeting together with Moses and Aaron. When Korah got all the assembly together against them at the entrance of the tent of meeting, then Jehovah's glory appeared to all the assembly. Jehovah now spoke to Moses and Aaron, saying, "Separate yourselves from the midst of this assembly, that I may exterminate them in an instant." At this they fell upon their faces and said, "O God, the God of the spirits of every sort of flesh, will just one man sin and you become indignant against the entire assembly?" In turn, Jehovah spoke to Moses, saying, "Speak to the assembly, saying, Get away from around the tabernacles of Korah, Dathan, and Abiram." After that, Moses got up and went to Dathan and Abiram, and the older men of Israel went with him. Then he spoke to the assembly, saying, "Turn aside, please, from before the tents of these wicked men, and do not touch anything that belongs to them, that you may not be swept away in all their sin." Immediately they got away from before the tabernacle of Korah, Dathan, and Abiram, from every side. And Dathan and Abiram came out, taking their stand at the entrance of their tents, together with their wives and their sons and their little ones. Then Moses said, "By this you will know that Jehovah has sent me to do all these deeds, that it is not of my own heart. If it is according to the death of all mankind that these people will die, and with the punishment of all mankind, that punishment will be brought upon them, then it is not Jehovah that has sent me. But if it is something created that Jehovah will create, and the ground has to open its mouth and swallow up them, and everything that belongs to them, and they have to go down alive into Sheol, you will then know for certain that these men have treated Jehovah disrespectfully." And it came about that as soon as he had finished speaking all these words, the ground that was under them began to be split apart, and the earth proceeded to open its mouth and to swallow up them and their households and all humankind that belonged to Korah and all the goods. So down they went, and all who belonged to them, alive into Sheol, and the earth went covering them over, so that they perished from the midst of the congregation. And all the Israelites who were round about them fled at the screaming of them, for they began to say, "We are afraid that the earth may swallow us up." And a fire came out from Jehovah and proceeded to consume the 250 men offering the incense. Jehovah now spoke to Moses, saying, "Say to Eleazar the son of Aaron the priest that he should take up the fire holders from within the conflagration, and you scatter the fire over there, for they are holy, even the fire holders of these men who sinned against their own souls. And they must make them into thin metal plates as an overlaying for the altar, because they presented them before Jehovah, so that they became holy, and they should serve as a sign to the sons of Israel." Accordingly, Eleazar the priest took the copper fire holders, which those who had been burned up had presented, and they proceeded to beat them out into an overlaying for the altar, as a memorial for the sons of Israel, to the end that no strange man who is not of the offspring of Aaron should come near to make incense smoke before Jehovah, and no one might become like Korah and his assembly, just as Jehovah had spoken to him by means of Moses. And directly the next day the whole assembly of the sons of Israel began to murmur against Moses and Aaron, saying, "You men, you have put Jehovah's people to death." And it came about that when the assembly had congregated themselves together against Moses and Aaron, they then turned toward the tent of meeting, and look, the cloud covered it, and Jehovah's glory began to appear. And Moses and Aaron proceeded to come before the tent of meeting. Then Jehovah spoke to Moses, saying, "You men, rise up from the midst of this assembly, that I may exterminate them in an instant." At this they fell upon their faces. After that Moses said to Aaron, "Take the fire holder, and put fire from upon the altar in it, and put on incense, and go to the assembly in a hurry, and make atonement for them, because the indignation has gone out from the face of Jehovah. The plague has started." Aaron at once took it, just as Moses had spoken, and went running into the midst of the congregation. And look, the plague had started among the people. So he put the incense on and began making atonement for the people. And he kept standing between the dead and the living. Eventually the scourge was stopped. And those dead from the scourge amounted to 14,700, aside from those dead on account of Korah. When at last Aaron returned to Moses at the entrance of the tent of meeting, the scourge had been stopped. Chapter 17. Jehovah now spoke to Moses, saying, "Speak to the sons of Israel, and take from them 1 rod for each paternal house from all their chieftains. By the house of their fathers, 12 rods. You will write the name of each one upon his rod. And Aaron's name you will write upon Levi's rod, because there is 1 rod for the head of the house of their fathers. And you must deposit them in the tent of meeting before the testimony, where I regularly present myself to you. And what must occur is that the man whom I shall choose, his rod will bud, and I shall certainly make subside from against me the murmurings of the sons of Israel, which they are murmuring against you." So Moses spoke to the sons of Israel, and all their chieftains went giving him a rod for each chieftain, by the house of their fathers 12 rods, and Aaron's rod was in among their rods. Then Moses deposited the rods before Jehovah in the tent of the testimony. And it came about the next day that when Moses went into the tent of the testimony, look, Aaron's rod for the house of Levi had budded, and it was bringing forth buds and blossoming flowers, and was bearing ripe almonds. Moses then brought out all the rods from before Jehovah to all the sons of Israel, and they went looking and taking each man his own rod. Subsequently Jehovah said to Moses, "Put Aaron's rod back before the testimony as something to be kept for a sign to the sons of rebelliousness, that their murmurings may cease from against me, that they may not die." At once Moses did just as Jehovah had commanded him. He did just so. And the sons of Israel began to say this to Moses, "Now we are bound to expire. We are bound to perish. We are all of us bound to perish. Anyone approaching, coming near to Jehovah's tabernacle will die. Must we end up in expiring that way?" Chapter 18. And Jehovah proceeded to say to Aaron, "You and your sons and the house of your father with you will answer for error against the sanctuary, and you and your sons with you will answer for error against your priesthood. And bring near also your brothers of the tribe of Levi, the clan of your father with you, that they may be joined to you and may minister to you, to both you and your sons with you, before the tent of the testimony. And they must keep their obligation to you and their obligation to the entire tent. Only to the utensils of the holy place and to the altar they must not come near, that they may not die, neither they nor you men. And they must be joined to you and must keep their obligation to the tent of meeting as respects all the service of the tent, and no stranger may come near to you men. And you must keep your obligation to the holy place and your obligation to the altar, that no further indignation may occur against the sons of Israel. And look, I have taken your brothers, the Levites, from among the sons of Israel as a gift for you, as those given to Jehovah to carry on the service of the tent of meeting. And you and your sons with you should safeguard your priesthood as regards every concern of the altar and as regards what is inside the curtain. And you men must render service. As a service of gift I shall give your priesthood, and the stranger drawing near should be put to death." And Jehovah spoke further to Aaron, "As for me, look, I have given you the custody of the contributions made to me. Of all the holy things of the sons of Israel, I have given them to you and to your sons as a portion, as an allowance to time indefinite. This should become yours out of the most holy things, out of the offering made by fire, every offering of theirs together with every grain offering of theirs, and every sin offering of theirs, and every guilt offering of theirs, which they will return to me. It is something most holy for you and for your sons. In a most holy place you should eat it. Every meal should eat it. It should become something holy to you. And this belongs to you, the contribution of their gift, together with all the wave offerings of the sons of Israel. I have given them to you and your sons and your daughters with you, as an allowance to time indefinite. Everyone clean in your house may eat it. All the best of the oil, and all the best of the new wine and the grain, their first fruits, which they will give to Jehovah, I have given them to you. The first ripe fruits of all that is on their land, which they will bring to Jehovah, yours it should become. Everyone clean in your house may eat it. Every devoted thing in Israel should become yours. Everything opening the womb, of every sort of flesh, which they will present to Jehovah among man and among beast, should become yours. However, you should without fail redeem the firstborn of mankind, and the firstborn of the unclean beast you should redeem. And with a redemption price for it from a month old onward, you should redeem it, by the estimated value, 5 silver shekels by the shekel of the holy place. It is 20 gerahs. Only the firstborn bull, or firstborn male lamb, or firstborn goat you should not redeem. They are something holy. Their blood you should sprinkle upon the altar, and their fat you should make smoke as an offering made by fire for a restful odor to Jehovah. And their flesh should become yours. Like the breast of the wave offering and like the right leg, it should become yours. All the holy contributions which the sons of Israel will contribute to Jehovah, I have given to you and your sons and your daughters with you, as an allowance to time indefinite. It is a covenant of salt to time indefinite before Jehovah for you and your offspring with you. And Jehovah went on to say to Aaron, in their land you will not have an inheritance, and no share will become yours in their midst. I am your share and your inheritance in the midst of the sons of Israel. And to the sons of Levi, look, I have given every 10th part in Israel as an inheritance in return for their service that they are carrying on, the service of the tent of meeting. And the sons of Israel should no more come near to the tent of meeting to incur sin so as to die. And the Levites themselves must carry on the service of the tent of meeting, and they are the ones who should answer for their error. It is a statute to time indefinite during your generations that in the midst of the sons of Israel they should not get possession of an inheritance. For the 10th part of the sons of Israel, which they will contribute to Jehovah as a contribution, I have given to the Levites as an inheritance. That is why I have said to them, in the midst of the sons of Israel they should not get possession of an inheritance. Then Jehovah spoke to Moses, saying, and you should speak to the Levites, and you must say to them, you will receive from the sons of Israel the 10th part that I have given to you from them for your inheritance, and you must contribute from it as a contribution to Jehovah a 10th part of the 10th part. And it must be reckoned to you as your contribution, like the grain of the threshing floor, and like the full produce of the wine or oil press. In this way you yourselves also will contribute a contribution to Jehovah from all your 10th parts that you will receive from the sons of Israel. And from them you must give the contribution to Jehovah to Aaron the priest. From all the gifts to you, you will contribute every sort of contribution to Jehovah, of the very best of it, as some holy thing from them. And you must say to them, when you contribute the best of them, then it will certainly be reckoned to the Levites as the produce of the threshing floor, and as the produce of the wine or oil press. And you must eat it in every place, you and your household, because it is your wages in return for your service in the tent of meeting. And you must not incur sin for it when you contribute the best from them, and you must not profane the holy things of the sons of Israel, that you may not die. Chapter 19. And Jehovah proceeded to speak to Moses and Aaron, saying, This is a statute of the law that Jehovah has commanded, saying, Speak to the sons of Israel, that they should take for you a sound red cow, in which there is no defect, and upon which no yoke is come. And you must give it to Eleazar the priest, and he must lead it forth outside the camp, and it must be slaughtered before him. Then Eleazar the priest must take some of its blood with his finger, and spatter some of its blood straight toward the front of the tent of meeting 7 times. And the cow must be burned under his eyes. Its skin and its flesh and its blood together with its dung will be burned. And the priest must take cedar wood and hyssop and caucus scarlet material, and throw it into the midst of the burning of the cow. And the priest must wash his garments and bathe his flesh in water, and afterward he may come into the camp, but the priest must be unclean until the evening. And the one who burned it will wash his garments in water, and must bathe his flesh in water, and he must be unclean until the evening. And a clean man must gather up the ashes of the cow, and deposit them outside the camp in a clean place, and they must serve the assembly of the sons of Israel as something to be kept for the water for cleansing. It is a sin offering. And the one gathering the ashes of the cow must wash his garments, and be unclean until the evening. And it must serve the sons of Israel and the alien resident who is residing as an alien in their midst as a statute to time indefinite. Anyone touching the corpse of any human soul must also be unclean 7 days. Such one should purify himself with it on the 3rd day, and on the 7th day he will be clean. But if he will not purify himself on the 3rd day, then on the 7th day he will not be clean. Everyone touching a corpse, the soul of whatever man may die, and who will not purify himself, has defiled Jehovah's tabernacle, and that soul must be cut off from Israel. Because the water for cleansing has not been sprinkled upon him, he continues unclean. His uncleanness is still upon him. This is the law in case a man should die in a tent. Everyone coming into the tent, and everyone who is in the tent, will be unclean 7 days. And every opened vessel upon which there is no lid tied down is unclean. And everyone who on the open field may touch someone slain with the sword, or a corpse, or a bone of a man, or a burial place, will be unclean 7 days. And they must take for the unclean one some of the dust of the burning of the sin offering, and put running water upon it in a vessel. Then a clean man must take hyssop, and dip it into the water, and spatter it upon the tent, and all the vessels and the souls that happen to be there, and upon the one who touched the bone, or the slain one, or the corpse, or the burial place. And the clean person must spatter it upon the unclean one on the 3rd day, and on the 7th day, and must purify him from sin on the 7th day. And he must wash his garments and bathe in water, and he must be clean in the evening. But the man who may be unclean, and who will not purify himself, well, that soul must be cut off from the midst of the congregation, because it is Jehovah's sanctuary that he has defiled. The water for cleansing was not sprinkled upon him. He is unclean. And it must serve as a statute to time indefinite for them, that the one spattering the water for cleansing should wash his garments, also the one touching the water for cleansing. He will be unclean until the evening. And anything the unclean one may touch will be unclean, and the soul who touches it will be unclean until the evening. Chapter 20. And the sons of Israel, the entire assembly, proceeded to come into the wilderness of Zin in the first